What I'm about to teach you could be the most important marketing lesson that you ever learn, but not all of you are going to be willing to accept it. So all I ask is that you stay till the end of this video so you can see everything that I have to say and you can make the case for yourself. What's going on, you guys? This is Matt Thibeau here with Savant Marketing Agency. And if you're new to the channel, all we do is talk around here how you can scale up your landscaping or outdoor living business to seven figures and beyond using digital marketing strategies that work. And like I said, I have a cool video for you here. It's going to really challenge the way that you think. We're going to be talking all about client acquisition. First, let's talk a little bit about how most landscapers think. Most landscapers want to make immediate profits on their ad campaign. They want to put in $1 and then get $2, $3, or $4 back, typically within 90 days or less. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think all of us can say that we want to make a return on investment with our advertising dollars. However, what I want to challenge you in terms of your thinking in this video is that that window of time in which you are looking to make a profit or get a return from the advertising dollars isn't always so linear. In fact, in this video, we're going to be talking about how sometimes that type of mindset can actually cap your growth when it comes to advertising and growing your business in general. Because with that type of mindset, you're always looking at making a profit up front from the advertising that you're spending. And so if anything ever goes wrong in the process, or if your costs increase at any level, whether it be hiring additional salespeople as you scale, or whether it be that your lead costs start rising just because of competition in the area, now your model no longer makes sense and advertising becomes more and more difficult. And this is what brings us to the problem of what happens when you scale like typical landscapers try to scale. If you're always chasing profit on the front end of your business, meaning that you're counting on the profit of that front end installation project or project in general that you're doing from the advertising to make a profit to reinvest into advertising. Like I said, eventually what you will run into once you try and get enough growth and scale is that you will start seeing diminishing returns in terms of your lead costs, right? Because there's only so many people out there who are looking for landscaping projects. But then also, once you start getting a ton of leads, you also need salespeople to work those leads, right? So now you have additional costs in that sales process. Additionally, as well as over time, costs will start to go up, whether it's new competitors or just more people on platforms like Facebook and Google in general. We've seen this happen with Google over the years, right? As cost per lead has gone up because there's more people who are bidding on certain keywords. And the same thing will happen with Meta, and the same thing will happen with any other platform. That's just how business works. But like I said, the problem with this front end mindset is that you're always chasing profits up front. However, you have no back end to be able to profit off of over time. And so the problem that a lot of landscapers run into as they start to scale their business to seven figures and multiple seven figures using advertising is that if they don't optimize the back end of their business, they find themselves in a situation where the margin on the front end of their business gets smaller and smaller as they try to get enough growth. You see, one of the most expensive things that you can do in business is to acquire a new customer. It's the most expensive thing for you to do, right? You're literally taking a customer, whether they're working with your competition or they're not working with a landscaper at all, and you're going out and you are acquiring them. That is an expensive thing to do. And so once you acquire that customer, I want you to start thinking of them as an asset for your business, because most landscapers are not monetizing that customer to the full extent and providing them enough value on the back end to be able to make that customer and their worth go a lot further. And this is what's called lifetime value. So now that we've talked about how most landscapers think and the problem with thinking only on the front end, let's talk about how seven figure landscapers think and the shift in mindset for you. Seven figure landscapers are always thinking in terms of the value of a customer, not one off transactions. And ultimately, what we're doing here with marketing is we are building customer relationships at scale. We want to build customers for life who are going to come back again and again and again to work with us, or at least they are going to do more work with us when we are working with them so we can increase that average order value. There's only so many backyards that a homeowner will buy from you, right? But there are other services and add-ons that you can do on the back end to increase the amount that they're going to spend with you and hopefully get them coming back to you more often. There's a famous direct mail marketer from way back in the day that I like to study named Dan Kennedy. And essentially, he had a saying that was, whoever is willing to spend the most to acquire a new customer with advertising wins. Now, what he's not saying is to purposely just go out and frivolously spend on advertising. That's not what he's saying at all. What he's getting at here is that if you are willing to spend more to acquire a customer, whether it be cost per lead or cost per acquisition, then essentially you win the game of marketing in your area. You're able to afford to spend more on marketing, which is going to push out your competitors, but also scaling becomes faster and easier because you're not so concerned on just the front end profit. You have a back end that can actually support the front end aggressive marketing. So if your back end is really dialed in, then you're able to invest more into the front end and absolutely dominate your market when it comes to online advertising. This also makes you more resilient, right? Because if you're in the business of where you're always chasing down your next lead on the front end, but you're not monetizing on them on the back end, well, if anything in terms of the economy or your marketing system slows down, you don't have a back end to monetize customers, right? And so that puts you in a precarious situation. And so what Dan Kennedy meant when he said that statement is that if you are able to structure the business in a way that you can afford to spend the most amount of money out of all of your competitors on acquiring a new customer when it comes to advertising, you are going to win the game. Here's a simple example of what I'm talking about. This shaver is called a Philips One Blaze shaver. You may use it. I personally like to use it because I have a beard. Some of you probably have a bigger beard than I do. But this shaver costs about $50 to buy. Comes with the shaver, it comes with the blade, and it comes with the charging cord, right? But this blade is disposable. It runs out. And so even though 50 bucks on the front end might not seem like a lot of money, this particular shaver blade will go bad in about 3 months. So that means that as a user of this blade, I need to continuously buy new blades to be able to continue to use this product, right? And so even though it costs about 50 bucks to buy the shaver itself, the blades are $50 or so every single year just to own this product, right? And so what that means is that normally the lifetime value of a product like this would be 50 bucks. I buy the shaver, comes with the blade, everything, and I use it. That's it, right? But now I've been using this for almost 5 years. And so the lifetime value of me as a customer to Philips One Blade has increased significantly, right? And so you could design something like this in your business, which we'll get at in just a second. But I wanted to illustrate this example of how on the front end, this product is $50, which I'm sure they make money on, but that allows them to aggressively market this product even more because the true value of this product is probably around $1,000 because of the purchases that I've done over the years, right? So that allows them to spend, let's say, $300 or $500, whatever the number is, to market to me to actually get me to buy this. So now that I've explained to you the concept of lifetime value and optimizing the back end of your business, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Matt, well, what does that actually look like? So let's dive into what does that look like in your business, and we'll go through some examples. Let's say that you sell premium outdoor living installations and projects. The range of your projects typically runs from $60,000 to $100,000. If that was the only thing that you offer, then a typical customer lifetime value would be around $100,000 just because you're doing the installation, right? But if you adopt the mindset of what I'm saying here, You could do that project for $100,000, let's say, but included in that project would maybe be 2 or 3 months of maintenance for the property, right? Whether it's upkeeping the lawn or just trimming shrubs, et cetera, et cetera. And so let's say that the homeowner purchases that installation project from you, and then you include a couple of months of maintenance work on the back end. Well, guess what? Most people are going to continue using you for the maintenance if you include it with that project on the back end. This is something that we're doing with a lot of our clients as an offer to help them stand out, but also it's part of building up a back end profit system for their business. Because now not only have they sold $100,000 to get that backyard project, but now they have the client on a month to month, or it could be a yearly contract for maintenance. And so you want to give them the little bit of the try before you buy. So you do a 2 3 month trial of the maintenance included for free. But then after that period, do you think they're really going to stop the maintenance? Do you think that most people are going to be like, wow, this actually seems like a lot of work. I might just let them continue to do it? And so if you're willing to take a little bit of that loss of the 2 or 3 months of maintenance included in the price of your installation, then you could get their business for the next 2, 3, 4 years, maybe, of maintenance on the back end, whether it's lawn applications, like I said, or just maintenance in general. And so that's one example of how you can optimize the back end of your business to build in monthly reoccurring revenue. You could also have some preset upsells in your process. Maybe it's landscape lighting, right? Maybe you can, once they move forward, then after the fact, you can say, hey, I think it would also look really good if we had some landscape lighting there, et cetera. Because you're already an existing customer, we'll give you a bit of a deal on it. Boom. Now you just increase the average order value by maybe $10,000, right? Or maybe you cross sell them over to doing some turf care, or you do some, artificial turf, right? They come in for a patio, and then by the time you're done, you upsold them into an entirely different type of project that has a lot bigger scope than originally what it was, right? And so these are some examples of how you can build up the back end of the business, whether it's creating monthly reoccurring revenue, doing maintenance on the back end, or doing lawn applications, et cetera, or just simply doing the old McDonald's trick, which is, do you want fries with that? Which is essentially upselling them into whether it's landscape lighting or some other service that makes sense as an add-on to what they originally have bought. And something else that I think a lot of landscapers don't pay enough attention to is all the leads that don't close into a sale, right? How often are you reactivating the people that have requested a quote and then you gave them a price and they said they need to think about it? How often are you reaching out to them and giving them perhaps a reoffer or downselling them? Maybe, hey, I know that this might be slightly out of your budget, but maybe we could do a smaller project that's within your budget. If you move forward this week only, we can throw in this for free or whatever, right? And so I think a lot of landscapers aren't optimizing as well the back end of their sales process of just reactivating their leads every quarter or so and just saying, are you still interested in this? So, what is the result of seeing your customers as an asset in your business and not just a one off transaction? First off, you can spend more on advertising. Like I showed you with the Philips One Blade example, is that if you were only selling that blade and the shaver that was $50, you could only afford to spend like $10, $20 maybe to be able to advertise that product. But if you know that the actual lifetime value of that shaver is going to be $1,000 or somewhere in that vicinity because of the reoccurring blades that you have to order, then you can spend way more on advertising. So the first benefit of all of this is just being able to spend way more than your competitors on marketing strategically, knowing that you're going to profit on the back end. So then all of your competitors are going to be scratching their heads thinking, how does this guy actually advertise this much? How is he able to get away with that? And it's going to be your own little secret. The second result of this is that you're going to be able to scale faster, right? Spending more on advertising is going to bring in more leads, which is going to allow you to hire a bigger team to handle that. And then you're going to be able to increase your production much quicker, right? Most companies are worrying about profitability on the front end only, and this stagnates their growth. But if you have an optimized backend, that's a profit center where you are cross-selling, upselling, and retaining clients long term, that's all money that you can reinvest into your team and ads to scale much faster. And finally, the benefit of all this is that you can create reoccurring back end revenue for your business that can serve as a safety net that's going to continuously bring in revenue, whether or not you go out and sell these one-off jobs. So guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe. If you have any questions, comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you're watching or listening to this right now and you own a landscaping or outdoor living business, and you're looking to scale your business to the next level using Facebook and Google Ads and SEO, then I want you to click the link in my description. You can book a free strategy session with my team. We would love to support you this year. All right, guys, I'll see you on my next video.